Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Return of the Living Dead Part 2. So to start off, I'm going to get into some of the characters. You have some returning cast members, but they're actually playing different characters in this, which might be pretty darn confusing for some people, but I knew that going in. So you have Tom Matthews from the first one, and you also have James Karen. Tom Matthews, I'm a huge fan of. He's in the first one, but I know him very well from Friday the 13th Part 6, which, oh my goodness, that is one of the best Friday the 13th of all time, in my opinion. I don't I don't know if I have a top, like one specific favorite Friday the 13th. That's like really hard to narrow down, but Part 6 is 100% in my top 3. I absolutely love Part 6. So he's my favorite Tommy Jarvis. I like Corey Feldman as Tommy Jarvis. I forgot what the guy in I don't know the guy in Part 5. I don't know what his name is. I like him, but Tom Matthews is my absolute favorite Tommy Jarvis. So it's always cool to see him and stuff. And then you have James Karen is in this, and like I said, they're playing different characters. In this one, they're grave robbers. Now that I'm getting into a little bit of the story, I might as well just give a quick plot synopsis. And just so you all know, I'm going to get into spoilers in this review, just a heads up. So, you have, at the beginning of the movie, these military personnel, they're transporting the trioxin gas in a bunch of canisters in the back of a big military vehicle. And the guy who's driving, he's just being careless. He's smoking like the thinnest joint ever. It's like probably not even like a quarter of a gram in there. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I don't really think you can just smoke joints in the military like that, but he's living his best life, doing his thing, whatever. So he's not paying attention. He hits a bump, the tracks, and falls into this river. Anyways, a little bit later on, we're introduced to this main kid. He's one of the main characters, and he goes with these kids. They're kind of scaring him. They want him to join their crew. They bring him to the cemetery, and when they're at the cemetery, they find the canister. They open it. While this is going on, Tom Matthews and James Karen's characters are at the graveyard as well, because, like I said, they're grave robbers. And something that I really appreciated, there was so much great humor in the scenes where they're, robbing the graves. So I guess what they're doing, like, so Tom Matthews' character works for James Karen's character, but they're not. Their main job is not robbing graves, of course, but he works for him, so he somehow got him into. He makes him rob graves with him on the side, help him out. That'd be a terrible boss. I would probably just quit at that point unless I really, really needed the money, because that's pretty darn effed up. But anyways, there's there's a lot of comedy around the whole morality of it. So the James Karen's character is just a total piece of shit. He has like no morals, and it's like funny. He'll always contradict himself. Like Tom Matthews' character is like, why do we have to give these people? Because they're selling people the skulls, I guess. He's like, why do we have to give people real skulls? Like, we could just give them fake skulls. They wouldn't even know. He's like, I wouldn't lie to people. So it's like he's totally fine digging up graves, stealing their jewelry, but he doesn't want to lie to people. That would be too much. So yeah, the comedy in all the grave robbing scenes is really good. The comedy in the entire movie is awesome. I was just like smiling. There were so many moments where I just, cause comedy, like a horror comedy, is hard to do. There's a lot of horror comedies where I'll just like be shaking my head. I'm like, that's dumb, or they do it at the wrong time, or the tone is off. Like the tone in this movie, it's a consistent tone. It's more fantastical. It's not as like gritty and realistic as some other movies. So the comedy works well there, and the comedy is sprinkled throughout. So you're used to it right off the bat. But another awesome comedic moment when they're robbing the graves is you have a reference to the first movie where he's like, "You better watch your tongue, boy, if you like this job." He's like this job? And some people might be annoyed. They're like, "Oh, they're just using the same lines from the first movie, and oh, that's cheap, and that's blah, blah, blah." I thought it was great. I like a nice callback. It was a great callback. That was a great line in the first movie. So I really like that. And then later on, they're like, "I feel like this has all happened before. I feel like this is a dream. I feel like we've been here before," which I thought was pretty darn funny. That was awesome. Yeah, let me see where I'm at. Let me check my notes real quick. Yeah, just to kind of compare the movies. So I'm a big fan of the first movie, and I think the general consensus about this movie is that it's generally not well liked, but honestly, I had a really good time with this. The trailer didn't really sell me on it. Like the trailer was, a lot of movie trailers in my opinion are terrible though. Like I'll hate like 90% of movie trailers that I see. I'm like, this looks boring, and then I see the movie and it's great. So I don't know what's up with movie trailers. It's hard to encapsulate the whole movie in like a 1 minute trailer, I guess. But anyways, I had a lot of fun with this. I think the first movie is iconic. It's a classic. It's hard to top it. This movie is definitely more generic. It's a little more bland, but I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was a great time. The comedy was on point. The zombies looked great. The scares were good. The gore was good. There was likable characters. I enjoyed it. I was like, I thought it was a solid entry in the franchise. I haven't seen the rest. I don't know if any of them are there might be some bad ones. I think the last two are like direct to TV movies, but I watch a lot of direct to DVD sequels, especially for horror. You know, that's just, they kind of go hand in hand. A lot of the like all the later Hellraiser movies or all the Wrong Turn movies are all direct to DVD, and I enjoy some of those. So I might enjoy part 4 and 5, but part 3 I'm excited to watch because I'm pretty sure it's directed by Brian Yuzna. Maybe you pronounce it Brian Yuzna. I just say Yuzna, but I'm a big fan of some of his movies. Society, that movie rules. Speaking of other movies, there was a couple of familiar faces in this. So there's this guy. He's like a younger guy. He's a TV repair guy. I recognized him from Waxwork. I'm pretty sure he was the guy from the werewolf sequence. I don't know if you all have seen Waxwork, but that's a super solid 80s horror movie. Super original, and it's kind of like little shorts. They're not really shorts, but it jumps around a lot. It's really, there's so much going on. It's really entertaining. Like once this set piece ends, you go to a whole nother, a whole nother area, whole different characters. So that's a really good movie. And then Tom Matthews' girlfriend in this is the girl from Weird Science who gets with Anthony Michael Hall at the end. So I mean, Weird Science rules. That's a super solid movie. Shouts out John Hughes. I love like pretty much all of his movies. So I recognize those people, and then like I said, you got the returning cast members from the first movie. So A lot of familiar faces, which I always like to see. Alright, let me just check my notes here, see where I'm at. Oh yeah, so I'm talking about the TV repair guy. This is what I wrote down in my notes. I said, TV repair, TV repair guy is Captain Savaho, because he really was. So, like I said, there's this young kid. He's one of the main characters, and he has an older sister who is also a main character throughout the movie. So this TV repair guy is trying so hard to get with this dude's sister. Like, right off the bat, he meets her and he's always defending her so much, which that would be understandable if it's like his girlfriend or his wife, but he literally just met this girl like 2 seconds ago, and the guy, this James Cameron, shakes her, and he's like, whatever. I forgot what he said, but he was all like distraught. He's like, we gotta get help or something like that. And then he was just like shaking her, and the guy's like, hey man, hey, get your hands off her. And then he's like always just like risking his life, nearly dying to save this chick that he just met. I mean, that's a good, you should save anyone, but it's like, this dude's just trying so hard. But I do like their romance. Later in the movie, there's this line where, I forgot the exact line, I'm paraphrasing, but the little kid's sister says something like, oh, you probably think I'm a screw up or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, and he's like, no, I think you're great. I mean, not to get too sappy, but that was a cute moment, you know. I liked their romance. I liked, you know, it was believable. They were nice characters. They seemed like a nice couple, a nice pair. So you gotta have a little romance in pretty much every movie. So I thought that was cool. Let me just check my notes again here. Yeah, great comedy. The kid, I thought, was super badass. Basically, there's this scene where they go to their grandpa's house, and when they said they're gonna go to their grandpa's house, I know there's gonna be just a shit ton of guns there. I just had a feeling. I'm like, grandpa's house. You go to grandpa's house, he's probably got an arsenal. He's probably got gun safes on gun safes, you know. So they get there. He's got this huge gun case. He's got all kinds of guns. So they all get guns. They're all strapped up, and the little kid's sister gives him like a 22 rifle, and he's like, man, get out of my face with this. What am I gonna do with this? You give me this little 22? Come on. So he grabs just a huge revolver. It's probably like I don't know exactly what it is. I'm not super well versed on guns, but it was probably like a 357 Magnum, and he just like tucks it in his belt, just super badass. And later in the movie, he shoots a zombie in the face. That kid was super funny too. He was badass. He was funny. Like, for a child actor too, he was like really darn good in my opinion. Which, because you know, sometimes child actors are a little iffy. They're pretty hit or miss, which is understandable. You know, they're just kids. But I thought that kid did great. Getting on to other comedic moments, there's this one character. We find out later that he's a doctor, but the crew meets him because they steal his car, and he tags along. He's just not gonna let them just steal his car, so he comes with them. And that guy is hilarious. At first he's just so casual about everything, and like while just all hell is breaking loose, he's just like, well, you know, yeah, hey, you know, let me drive, and he's just so relaxed. And throughout the whole movie, he's always just talking about like, oh, let's get a cocktail after this. Oh, let's go get some drinks. Oh man, if I had a drink right now, he's always talking about drinks. And then he finds this bottle of whiskey later, and he like has to really pay attention because it's the third act of the movie. It's the climax. They're doing this plan where they're trying to electrocute all the zombies, and they have to like radio him when they're gonna, you know, start the electrical charge. And he just keeps like almost grabbing the bottle. He's like, oh, I want the bottle. He's like, no, you know, I gotta stay focused. And I was thinking like, why don't you just start drinking, but then also you could still stay focused. Just do both. Like what the heck? And then at the end, he's talking to the kid. He's talking about all these mixed drinks, and he's like, have you had this? Have you had that? He's asking some like 10-year-old kid, you haven't had a Jack and Coke? He didn't say that, but something like that. I just thought that guy was great. He's, and he smashes this one zombie's head with the bottle. I mean, this dude was like about that lifestyle. Like he was super into drinking, and he just wasted all that liquor. I was like a tear almost went down my face. Like it was like a good bottle. You're just gonna waste all that, but I mean, he really made the ultimate sacrifice, in my opinion. So here, one sec. I just gotta check my notes again. Yeah, I pretty much talked about everything. One last funny moment is I totally didn't expect this, but I don't even know how they got away with this. I don't know how they didn't get sued or something. But at the end, when all the zombies are getting electrocuted, there's this zombie, and it's supposed to be Michael Jackson from Thriller. He's got the red jacket, and he's like spinning around doing dance moves. I was just smiling like crazy. I'm like, what the heck? I did not expect that. That was super awesome. I don't know, how you gonna put Michael Jackson in? He's got like shit billions. No, not that much, but he was super rich. He could have just sued him. I don't know how. I mean, he wasn't like crazy rich at that. Well, he still was crazy rich, but he just kept making more stacks over the years. But I don't know how he didn't sue him. But he must have been a good sport about that. I thought that was super hilarious. Shouts out Thriller. It's an iconic music video, great song. So, I hit all the points that I wanted to talk about. This movie was a great time. If you're a fan of the first Return of the Living Dead, 100%, 10 out of 10, check this one out. So, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.